Welcome back, Tigers. In this video, we will review how to automate the creation of opportunity contact role records from an ops-related tasks, events, and emails. Measuring campaign influence requires sales teams to add people as contact roles on their ops. This is an administrative burden for them, and they may forget to add all of the people they are engaging with. Instead of considering this a training issue, let's automate as much as we can for them. We will learn how to create 3 flows that will automatically add people related to their tasks, events, and emails as a contact role on the opportunity. This video assumes you do not have the feature enabled called Allow Users to Relate Multiple Contacts to Tasks and Events. This is also known as Shared Activities. If you have this setting enabled, please see our other video called Automate Contact Role Creation from Activity Records Related to Multiple Contacts. If you're not sure, we'll show you how to check the settings. Let's hop over to Salesforce and learn how to set up these flows. All right, our first step is to check our activity settings. We'll go into Setup, go to Activity Settings, and you can see here that the Allow Users to Relate Multiple Contacts to Tasks and Events is not enabled. This means that you are set up to only have tasks and events related to a single contact. If you have this checkbox checked in your org, then you need to check out our other video that supports the opportunity contact role creation for multiple contacts. All right, we can see here we have a single contact, so we're all set up to set our flows now. We'll go to Flows, and we're going to create a new flow. It's going to be a record triggered flow, and it's going to be on the task object. And you can choose to do this when it is created and or updated. And then we only want this flow to fire if it is related to an opportunity. So all opportunity records start with 006. Their ID starts with a 006 in all orgs, in production, or in the sandbox. So this means that if a task is created or updated related to an opportunity, then this flow is going to fire. Our next step is to check and see if there are any opportunity contact roles related to this opportunity that the task is related to. So I'll do a get records on the opportunity contact role object, and my opportunity ID is going to be the what ID of the task. And then I want all records here. Okay, my next step is to loop these contact roles. Now I'm looping them because I want to assign their IDs to a text collection. And you'll see why here in a second. All right, so I'm going to loop each of these records, and then I'm going to assign the op contact role contact ID to a collection. So I will create a variable called contact role contact IDs. And this is going to be a text collection. And I'm going to add from my loop, hold on, yes, the current item from the loop, I want to add the contact ID. So all my contact IDs will be added to this text collection. And now let's just save this. Now my next step is to do a get records, and I'm going to get my internal contacts. Now you don't have to do this step, but we see a lot of orgs where there are contact records for internal people. So if you have any automations or any third-party systems that are creating your tasks and events, and then you have internal contacts, you will definitely want to filter these out because we don't want to add our internal contacts as contact roles on our opportunities. So we're going to look for any internal contacts that are related to our task and have an internal email address. So here's where you would put your internal email address. We'll put blueninjas.com, and this should only be one record. So we'll leave this set to only one record, and then we'll come down here and we'll do a decision. And our decision is going to look for our internal contact to exist. So our get contacts element is null is false. Okay, so we have our decision there. Now we need to see if the contact role already exists. So we'll do a decision. Contact is a contact role. And then we're going to look for that text collection to contain the who ID from our task. And then let's set our default outcome to say no. All right, and if the contact is not a contact role, then we want to create it. We're going to use separate resources and literal values, and we're going to create an op contact role. The contact ID will be the who ID from our task. The op will be the what ID from our task. And then this is up to you if you want to indicate a specific role. Sometimes you want a specific role that indicates that this contact role record was created via automation. So you could add a role to your contact roles list that says automatically created. We'll just make it influencer here for now. And then we'll click save. And that's it. We should be ready to test our flow now. We'll click activate. And then we'll run a test. All right, we'll go to the front of Salesforce. We're going to come to this opportunity, and we can see that we have one contact role for Morticia Adams. We can see we don't have any tasks. So we're going to create a task, and I'm going to add Uncle Fester. I'll click save, and then I would expect to see Uncle Fester added as a contact role onto the opportunity. And we do. I'm going to create another test. Now we don't want the contact roles to be created for internal contacts. I have a contact named Wednesday Adams, and Wednesday has a Blue Ninjas email address. So if we hover over Wednesday, we can see that her email is Wednesday@Blue Ninjas. So we should not see a contact role record get created for Wednesday. If we hover over here, we click refresh just to make sure, we can see that the record was not created. Right, so our task flow is working perfectly. Now we're ready to do our event flow. Okay, so now we can come to our task flow, and something pretty cool that I learned while making this video was you can change this, clone it as a new flow, change this to event, click save, and then change this object here to the event. And then everything else is the same. The what ID needs to relate to the op. we're getting contact roles, we're looping them, we're getting internal contacts, and then we're creating the op contact role from the fields on the related record. Since tasks and events share all these same fields, this flow just works by you changing the entry object, which was super cool to learn. So we'll click save, we'll activate, and then we'll go test this one out. So let's come to this op, this same op, and let's do an event for Gomez. So we'll do test contact role meeting. Put Gomez in here. And we'll click save. Now we should see contact role for Gomez Adams, which we do. Role is influencer. It's perfect. Now let's test adding Wednesday. And we should not see a contact role get added, and we don't. All right, so our event flow is working too now. All right, now we're ready to create our email message flow. That one's a little bit more complicated than our task and events because you can have more than one recipient on an email. So we'll create a record triggered flow. Our object is email message. And you can fire this only when the record is created. Email messages can't be updated if I am not mistaken. Now we want to look for the criteria related to ID, starts with 006. Then we're going to get our current opportunity contact roles. This is exactly the same as what we did in our task and event flows. And our opportunity ID is equal to our related to ID on our email message. Then we're going to loop our contact roles. Oh, we can see I can't loop anything here. The reason for that is I did not make this say all records. There we go. Now we can loop. There it is. And then we will assign the contact IDs to a collection variable. This will be a text, and we're going to add multiple values, and then we will add the contact ID from our loop right in there. Let's save this. We'll give it a nice label, and then we'll give it a nice description. Okay, next we need to query our email message relation records. We're going to do a get records. And our criteria is going to be email message ID equals the ID of the email message record that invoked this flow. There's a field called relation object type on the email message relation record that tells you whether or not it's a lead or contact. So we want to filter for that. And then our relation ID, we don't want it to be in our collection variable. So We don't want to pull any contacts that are already a contact role. We only want them to be a contact, and they need to be related to our email message. We're going to do all contacts here. And then we'll click save. Now we need to loop these email message relation records. And we're going to add these values to a collection variable, add the contact IDs. We're going to create a new text collection variable. And we're going to add the relation ID in our email message relation record. So the relation ID has the ID of the lead or contact that the email message relation record is related to. So we'll choose that. All right, so now all our contact IDs are going to be added to this text collection variable. Now, this is a step that you can choose whether or not you want to do. We're going to do a get contacts with internal domain. So this is so we're not adding internal contacts as contact roles. All right, so our ID is going to be in our email message relation collection variable, and the email contains, and this is where you put your internal domain. So we'll put Blue Ninjas there. If you have multiple domains, you can just add your ORs. And then we want to get all the records. Next, we need to decide if internal contacts exist on this email. So we will check to see if our get contacts is null. If contacts with internal domain do exist, we want to do a loop. We want to loop contacts with internal domain. And we want to remove them from our text collection variable. Okay, so we're going to do our email message relation collection, and we're going to remove the ID of the contact here. Okay, so if somebody has an internal domain, we're going to remove them from our email message relation contact list. Next, we're going to now loop our email message relation records in that text collection variable. Okay, so we're going to loop this variable here. We're going to loop through all these contact IDs because we want to use these to create our op contact roles. We're going to do an assignment here. We're going to assign the op contact role fields, and we're going to add them to a collection. So we need to create a new record variable that's going to hold the values for this record so we can create them. So this is going to be a record. It's going to be an opportunity contact role, and it's Don't check the collection box. It's a single record. Okay, so now we're going to say that the contact ID equals the loop, and it's this one down here, the current loop from your text collection variable, not the one up here. Then our contact role opportunity ID is going to be the related to ID on the email message record that invoked the flow. Our role, and this is where you can specify whatever role you want. We're using influencer. And then we're going to add all of these records to a collection. This is going to be a record. It's going to allow multiple values, and it's going to be on the opportunity contact role object. We're going to add the op contact role record. Your next step is to do a create records. And we're going to create the opportunity contact role records from our collection. And that's it. Oof. That'll work. All right, we'll activate this. And now we're ready to test it. All right, we're gonna go back to our opportunity that we were testing with, and let's delete Gomez and Fester, Uncle Fester. All right, now we're gonna send an email to Gomez and Fester in Wednesday. Gomez, Uncle Fester, and Wednesday. So we'll send test email. All right, so what we should see happen is that Gomez and Uncle Fester get added as a contact role and Wednesday does not. And we do. All right, that's all working. We're all set. You've just automated the contact roles for your sales teams. They should love you for it. That's it. That's a wrap. Be sure to subscribe to Blue Tiger Academy so you don't miss out on our upcoming videos. We are working on a new application that will allow you to facilitate quizzes or tests with your internal and external Salesforce users. You may be using a survey application like SurveyMonkey to gather data, feedback, or test your team's knowledge on certain topics. Moving this process to Salesforce allows you to easily report on the information and share it with your teams via a dashboard. The application also provides a way to automatically grade a quiz or test based on the number of questions the new user got correct. Let us know in the comments below if you have any questions or if you would like to see a video on a different Salesforce topic. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.